The guilty plea of George Papadopoulos is providing fresh insight into Robert Mueller's wide-ranging investigation of Russia's attempt to influence the presidential campaign. When Papadopoulos was sentenced October 5th, one of the prosecutors described it as, quote, an ongoing investigation, of which this case is a small part. He admitted lying to the FBI by saying he wasn't a Trump campaign volunteer when he met with the Russians who bragged that they could deliver what they called dirt on Hillary Clinton. NBC News has learned one of those questioned just last week, according to sources with direct knowledge, was Sam Clovis, a Trump campaign aide who appeared to approve of a Papadopoulos request to go to Russia for the campaign. But Clovis's lawyer says he would have never approved of that.
Are you going to pardon me for Manafort?
Thank you. Thank you.
President Trump ignored shouted questions today, but called his former advisor, Papadopoulos, a low-level volunteer and a proven liar. Mr. Trump's outside advisors also took aim.
The guy was the coffee boy.
He was not a person who was involved with the day-to-day operations of the campaign.
The president's chief of staff acknowledging the probe is taking a toll.
It is very distracting to the president, as it would be to any citizen, to be investigated for something.
There is also discord about the path forward. The president's legal team urging him to stay the course, to keep cooperating with special counsel Robert Mueller, even as his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, is advising the president to fight back very hard against Mueller. On Capitol Hill, bipartisan calls for the investigation to proceed unencumbered.
I have zero concern that Mr. Mueller is in jeopardy of losing his job.
I have had full faith and confidence in Bob Mueller from the beginning.
Late today, the special counsel told a federal judge that the president's former campaign chair, Paul Manafort, who's been charged with 12 counts of money laundering and conspiracy, poses a serious flight risk and will be closely monitored in home confinement.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.